Welcome to the Benning Report. Coming up in this edition, the Gainey Cup crowns the Army's top scout squad.
And an MMA star trains with soldiers.
Later, major stars rock Fort Benning. Welcome to the Benning Report. I'm David Wright.
And I'm Jessica Taylor with the Fort Benning Public Affairs Office. Thanks for watching.
The inaugural William J. Gainey Best Scout Squad competition took place in 2013. This year, the 316th Cavalry Brigade hosted the event on Fort Benning. The biannual Gainey Cup stresses the combat skills of scouts and is the largest cavalry competition in the Army. 19 six-man teams assembled on Harmony Church to kick off the 2015 Gainey Cup. Created by retired Command Sergeant Major William Gainey, the biannual competition determines the best scout squad from across the Army. Squads from the infantry, cavalry, and even Canada comprise the field of competitors who stepped up to accept the challenge. As they gathered at the starting line for the opening event, the squads knew they had a rough 75 hours ahead of them, in which they would have little opportunity for food and sleep, and a high demand for movement and combat tasks. The Gainey Cup is designed not only to test the individual combat skills of a U.S. Army Scout, but to showcase those skills in a celebration of the Scout's role.
The Army's realizing that without the Scouts out, you don't have intelligence, you don't have intel, information. So the Army's realizing the importance of the Scout.
The first event was a recon run. This timed event not only tested a Scout's physical fitness and speed, but his observational skills. As squads crossed the finish line, they immediately completed a quiz testing their abilities to observe and recall.
What was the route name between 3 and 4? You got any of this?
7 was white. It was just right around the corner.
Sounds right here.
What was the route name between CP3 and 4?
This demonstrates a scout not only needs to be fast and smart, but he must be able to work effectively within his squad.
It's a team. I told them last night, it's a team. If you leave somebody behind, you're not going to win in this, and you're not going to win in combat, you're not going to win in life, period.
Following the recon run, the squads loaded up on strikers to enter the heart of the competition and to prove they were the best the Army had to offer. David Wright, Fort Benning TV.
The Gainey Cup's recon run is just the beginning of this tough competition to determine the best scout troop. I followed the troops around for you and put myself in, let's say, some adventurous situations. I'm Jessica Taylor reporting from the 2015 Gainey Cup. Along with me is Staff Sergeant Wisnant. Staff Sergeant Wisnant, where are we exactly and what is about to happen?
We're located here at Galloway Range at Fort Benning, Georgia, and we're about to watch the Calf Scout live fire exercise.
3 enemy dismount! Enemy down!
The live fire exercise is one of 15 tasks of the 75-hour-long Gainey Cup.
This particular live fire, the squad live fire exercise, tests the knowledge of the basic scout skills, awful fire, displacement criteria, reports, everything else that a scout needs to know to be successful in the battlefield.
18 U.S. and 1 Canadian teams signed up to compete. All scout squads were tested on how well they planned and executed the missions while being survivable, lethal, and adaptable. Another major exercise is the reconnaissance course, which challenged the scout more mentally than physically. Staff Sergeant Pedinicio explains what the scouts were about to face.
The squads will be tested on their ability to conduct a dismounted route reconnaissance underneath a time limit and also a threat scenario. The teams will be tested on their ability to communicate and report timely and accurately and to answer the commander's information requirements.
5 more feet!
And of course, it got physical.
The obstacles are here for a physical endurance portion. It allows the team to push themselves to limits because you'll see as you go through the course, team members get tired after 2 or 3 obstacles. So having 10, they have to complete the entire course unassisted. So each team member can be there cheering on their team members, but they can't physically help them at all.
Not only are the scouts required to be physically fit to finish the obstacle course, there are also mental challenges integrated, like solving 2 puzzles, how to lift water over the so-called German wall, and the cliffhanger, where a large object has to be negotiated across an obstacle. After 74 hours of pushing through and an average of 4 non-consecutive hours of sleep total, all 19 teams made it to their final challenge, the final charge. One last time, all scout teams had to demonstrate their strength and teamwork ability by pushing and lifting tires and locks, assembling and firing off a weapon, followed by their very last run. A tough competition, you may think.
But isn't that what you do on a daily basis?
No.
That's what it was explained to me.
Some of the tasks, well, all of the tasks that we did are jobs that we have in our MOS. Some of them obviously a little more physically demanding than others, but on a day-to-day basis, no. It's a good event. The Gainey Cup's a physically demanding event, and that's what it's supposed to be, you know.
Upon completion of Friday morning, the teams eagerly waited to hear the results. Jessica Taylor, Fort Benning TV.
The results are in, and the champions of the 2015 Gainey Cup competition have been selected. Melissa Bell shows us which scout team walked away with bragging rights after enduring 4 days of events that tested every aspect of scout skills and endurance.
It's been close to 75 hours since the start of the 2015 Gainey Cup competition, and soldiers have been asked to complete 12 major tasks while traveling nearly 20 miles. It's been up to them to determine when or if they sleep and eat.
I asked you on day 1 to do something simple for me. I asked you to give it your all. Don't worry about being number 1. Be the best you can be. You remember that? And I asked you to move forward and not to quit. You remember that? Mission complete.
As squads compete, they refine their expertise, developing skills they can pass on to their units. Today, Scout squads can be proud of their performance because today is a day of celebration.
4-2-CR.
It's the day to be crowned Best Scout Squad, and 4-2 Cav will take the title.
The competition was challenging, lots of thinking on your feet, lots of unit cohesion had to go into it.
Because of the nature of what we require scouts to do on the battlefield, which is really operate independently in a variety of reconnaissance and security missions, it's critical that mental resiliency as well as the physical aspect is able to be demonstrated throughout a wide range of military operations.
Scouts finishing today have proven they have what it takes both mentally and physically to toe the line when it comes to the best of the best, even if they're still recovering.
You must be able to articulate what you're seeing on the battlefield and think quickly and react in order to give the commander the best chance to make a good decision.
This quick mental agility and reaction process is developed in garrison, and champions from Team 13 agree that the competition put them as well as those from their units to the test, raising the bar and requiring peak performance to be considered for competition entry.
This experience will help a lot, especially with the younger soldiers standing behind me today. These are the future leaders of the Army, so with them going through this situation at such an early stage in the career, that's really going to help develop the Armor Force.
As for the next competition, the advice given is to start early and master Scout fundamentals. Going back to the force today is the 6-man team from 4-2 Cav, who have earned the right to be called Best Scout Squad. Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
In the Army, an azimuth check is when you stop while conducting land navigation, take out your compass, and make sure you're on the right track. That's the idea behind the quarterly goal check that is hosted by the Maneuver Center of Excellence Commander Major General Scott Miller. Melissa Bell brings us an update on where we stand on training, lethality, and physical performance.
Leadership from across Fort Benning gathered at an azimuth check to discuss the progress of best practices while developing and training soldiers. Not only will these results be used in institutionalizing best practices for incoming leadership to continue, but also understanding what is not generating the desired results and why.
We've got to get this right because we're the maneuver force. We're the Maneuver Center of Excellence. And as a maneuver leader, it could be the day where I just go, hey, you're now the pointy end of the spear, go close with and destroy. And what I can promise you is that it's going to be really, really physically hard. Mentally tough, physically hard.
As Fort Benning leaders collaborated and stressed the importance of mastering combined arms maneuver in the field, in-depth discussions kicked off with results on soldier lethality and marksmanship skills. The Army Marksmanship Unit addressed how best practices from the Master Marksmanship Training Course, a course developed at Fort Benning, is having the desired effect while being implemented through various units across post and Army-wide.
Everybody has been really open to us. They've asked us, they've called us, hey, come out and observe our training. They've referred to us as the subject matter experts, and they've asked us to come out and check that out, and we have, and we really appreciate that.
With marked improvement across basic marksmanship scores, it was also noted that a change in marksmanship culture is underway, including not only the importance of shooting instruction, but also in weapon care and handling, away from the range.
So we have soldiers that are banging, clanging, carrying these weapons around, dropping them, picking them up, slamming them into barriers, and they don't understand how they're supposed to treat that piece of equipment. It's a mindset of, hey, this is your tool. If you can't employ it effectively, if the sights aren't aligned, you're not going to hit what you're aiming at. So having these guys come back to understand that weapon handling is key and essential what they're doing. That's their tool. You don't beat it around, but that's one of the things we're going to have to go back and address.
Subject matter experts from the hospital, warrior athletic teams, and the Initial Entry Training Physical Resilience Enhancement Program, also known as IPREP, were also on hand to discuss the collaborative effects of a team approach when addressing prevention and recovery of soldier injuries.
Our two most common injuries are still knee overuse and acute ankle sprains. That's been very consistent. And we have some great data from IPREP looking at ways to prevent that. Once we see if those really work, we can implement some prevention programs across the formation.
Unit leadership spoke on the decline in medical board drops and the importance of identifying soldiers at risk for injury prior to basic training through IPREP, and the need for quick, effective recovery so soldiers can continue training with the help of embedded athletic trainers. With the help of all topics covered at this Azimuth Check, Fort Benning leaders work toward producing soldiers who are capable of outthinking and effectively outmaneuvering adversaries on and off the battlefield. Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
Coming up next, an MMA superstar trains with soldiers.
Mixed martial arts have a lot in common with the modern Army Combatives program. Fort Benning soldiers experience training with a star athlete from the Ultimate Fighting Championships, an athlete who has already dedicated himself to working with soldiers to improve their fighting skills.
You judge your form, 49 and 59.
Soldiers perform PT on a daily basis, but normally they don't have a celebrity working out with them. Mixed martial artist Josh Koscheck, well known from the Ultimate Fighting Championship or UFC, was personally invited by Major General Scott Miller, Maneuver Center of Excellence Commanding General, to run, do sit-ups, and go through an obstacle course.
Me, General Miller, and about 150 of the captains and NCOs, we got to do a nice run. We did Suicide Hill a couple times. It was awesome. General Miller is tough. He is for his stature and his age, and he's a beast.
Josh kept up with Major General Miller very well, as physical fitness is a key pillar of his profession.
It kind of can relate to, my everyday mixed martial arts aspect. I got to be in shape. So, he expects his soldiers to be in shape like UFC fighters. So it's a pretty cool experience.
But PT was just the warm-up phase for Josh Koscheck, which helped prepare for his visit at the Army Combatives facility of the 198th Infantry Brigade, where Josh got to teach basic training soldiers how to defend themselves.
We just learned a few things if they try to grab your primary weapon, which is our M4. Different things that we can do, and I left being a bit more confident.
And confidence you need when an enemy is trying to disarm you in combat. Josh and the instructors went back and forth exchanging their techniques.
As I'm turning, watch what I do.
But there's a difference between UFC fighting and combatives.
So it was nice for him to be able to come in and see, okay, it's cool to be able to punch and kick and choke and stuff like that, which we do as well. It's based off of what he trains on, but we mess with weapons as well.
Josh Koscheck's visit wasn't only educational, but also inspirational for the basic training soldiers that were able to meet him.
It was amazing. I never thought I would get to meet anybody of his status.
Jessica Taylor, Fort Benning TV.
After the break, Fort Benning honors its volunteer community.
The annual Volunteer Excellence Awards are presented to individuals and organizations who distinguish themselves by providing exceptional volunteer services to the Fort Benning community. This year, the Garrison and the Fort Benning Army Volunteer Corps teamed up to give each of them the Hollywood treatment.
Many services and organizations on post run on volunteer power. The volunteer community on Fort Benning boasts over 3,500 active members, each one of them doing it out of dedication to the community, with no thought of recognition for their efforts. The Garrison sets the time aside annually to make sure these volunteers know how valuable they are. This year, a red carpet theme gave everyone in attendance special treatment as a token of Fort Benning's appreciation. This past year saw volunteers work over 104,000 hours, saving the installation $2.4 million.
Each of the volunteers that are here tonight had to have over 500 volunteer hours. Many of those had double, triple, some had quadruple. So I'm dealing with some awesome volunteers on post, and they really do make my job easy.
As guests were interviewed on the red carpet and then mingled during the social hour, they knew they were part of a larger community that takes joy in serving those around them.
The Garrison Commander, he's the reason why we stepped this program up this year. He really supports volunteerism, and he wanted to make sure that they were really appreciated. They're worth this world-class event, and that, we really do appreciate everything that they contribute to the community.
Once dinner was served, the evening ceremony commenced, recognizing every qualifying volunteer in categories ranging from families and individuals to youth and retirees. This year's Volunteer of the Year award went to Teresa Birmingham. Teresa volunteers for the Battle Buddy Resource Center, the Community Spouses Club, the 515th Cav Family Readiness Group, and the Cub Scouts. She also helped found Kathleen's Closet as a way to provide formal gowns to Army wives who can't afford them.
There's a Dr. Seuss quote that says that nothing will change unless you make it change, and nothing will get better unless you make it get better. And I just take that to heart, and so I try to work hard for this community to make it better.
Fort Benning's Army Volunteer Corps is always recruiting and encourages everyone in the community to find an area that interests them and then get involved. For more information, you can visit benningmwr.com. David Wright, Fort Benning TV.
Most people are familiar with airborne soldiers, tankers, and infantrymen. But did you know that there is a wealth of Army career opportunities that range from arts and media to computers and engineering? A group of Alabama educators received a special Fort Benning tour to help them advise youth today on possible Army careers tomorrow.
From in-processing to Ranger School, educators located near the Montgomery, Alabama recruiting battalion received an in-depth glimpse into the Army profession. A detailed tour helped the educators understand the rigorous routine of military life, and that gained insight will help them advise the students they counsel.
They get to see everything we do, and they have a new appreciation for what a soldier is. It isn't just deploying down range. It isn't just shooting guns and going to the field. They get to see that we have educational benefits and all the things that come along with being a soldier.
As they took a look at the Army profession in action, they witnessed soldier in processing, tank training, Rangers in action, and airborne life, giving them a look at the education and training that goes into producing expert soldiers who are smart, fast, lethal, and precise in everything they do.
Dropping off helicopters, dropping into the water, blowing doors off buildings, just phenomenal. Rappelling, what was amazing was the guy that went down and was absolutely parallel to the ground with his weapons ready to go. So, really fun. Great stuff.
From medical to legal and computer programming to forensics, soldiers have a vast array of opportunities to choose from when exploring career possibilities.
One of the things that's been clear is the vast number of opportunities, career opportunities the Army offers, because there's 150 different opportunities, at least in terms of career options. Everybody doesn't have to jump out of a helicopter. You might enjoy being in a tank.
That is parade rest. Does everyone understand?
Yes, Drill Sergeant! We were involved the very first day in the whole intake process and how that works, so I think actually seeing that in action helps us explain what to expect to begin with. So it's been pretty interesting.
Looking at some of the newest recruits, these teachers can't help but envision a bright future for their students. And if they do join, one thing's for certain.
It's a sense of family, it's a sense of togetherness, it's a sense of a team, and just never quit, never give up.
Melissa Bell, Fort Benning TV.
Coming up next, big names draw in big crowds for Fort Benning. Every year, Benning MWR hosts major concerts for the Fort Benning and Columbus communities. Recently, a pair of big names took to the stage on York Field and entertained generations of fans.
Fort Benning opened their gates to the public to relive the 70s and 80s with an amazing lineup of rock bands. Some came to see Grand Funk Railroad.
It brings me good memories, you know, from the 70s.
Some came here to see REO Speedwagon.
I listen to REO Speedwagon a little bit. I've seen their videos on YouTube and concert and all that, so it's been pretty good.
And I hope Daniel Agers didn't come here to see Pink Floyd.
Well, see, I don't have an REO Speedwagon shirt, and I couldn't find my Save Ferris shirt.
I'm glad he didn't expect Pink Floyd because the opening act was actually called Chris Watson Band. And why this specific ensemble?
REO Speedwagon and Grand Funk Railroad, this music appeals to all generations, and we have all generations here tonight. We have our young soldiers, our retirees, we'll have every age out here, and they're all going to have a great time.
And they definitely rock the crowd.
People say, I'm not sure who REO Speedwagon is, but the minute you sing their music, everybody recognizes them.
You still don't know who they are? The American rock band REO Speedwagon formed in 1967 and became popular during the 70s. The band achieved most of their commercial success throughout the 80s and sold more than 40 million records. Jessica Taylor, Fort Benning TV.
Well, Jessica, this was your first show with us, so welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. And between the Gainey Cup and REO Speedwagon, this has been a very fast week for me so far.
Well, you did a great job. We're excited to have you on the team.
Thank you.
That will bring this edition of the Benning Report to an end. But you can watch these stories and others on youtube.com/BenningTV or at benning.army.mil.
And you can also like us on Facebook.
From the Public Affairs Office, thanks for watching.